Joined by head coach Nate Oats. Just same routine. We'll have coach making just a general opening statement, and then we'll go ahead and take some questions. If you do have a question, use the raise hand function, and we'll get your question. This time I'll go ahead and turn it over to coach for some comments on signing day.
Yeah, we're super excited about the three guys we signed today. I mean, kind of going down the list in order. Akko, who committed first. He's a big that runs the floor hard. He's athletic, protects the rim, rebounds well. Great kid. Obviously we got the Canadian relationship. He's played with Primo and Keon Ambrose, so that those three had a relationship already. So we're excited about getting him here. We've been recruiting him a while, and really good relationship with him that we've built over a long time. And I can't wait to get him on campus and see what we can do. He'll give us a little bit different big than maybe what we play with this year, but we're gonna. He gives us some stuff we didn't have. We didn't have the kind of rim protection that he can give us and the athleticism and some of that type of stuff. And then, we're going to continue to work on his skill level. We think he can bring a certain aspect that we haven't had here in the 2 years we've been here, and we're excited about it. So, and then Namari, we recruited Namari really hard out of high school, developed a great relationship with him, his family, his parents. Really enjoyed getting to know them. We left it when we didn't get him initially. Thought we handled it correctly. Kind of, didn't. We still kept the relationship. Couldn't really talk to them and stuff after they committed, but we handled it correctly when we didn't get them the first time. They fouled back up. They watched us play a lot. They let us know they enjoyed watching us play. We still had high regards for him as a player. He's one of the best two-way players out there. We thought he was coming out of high school. He can really shoot the ball well. He can defend at a high level. He fits the way we want to play in that regards. We play multiple guards, and we had a lot of guards, but he's coming in with the understanding he's going to fight for every minute he gets, and he wants to play in a system that's more like ours. And I think he's going to be great in our system. I think he shoots it well. He drives it. He can play multiple positions in the backcourt. And he guards at a high level. He's got a high IQ. So really excited about him as well. Obviously, he's a McDonald's All-American. Him and JD are both McDonald's All-Americans coming in. We've got Quinterly. That gives us 3 former McDonald's All-Americans, which I believe is the first time in school history they've had 3 on the same team. So 3 guards at that. I think our backcourt will be one of the strongest in the country with the addition of him. So excited about him. And then we added Noah Gurley. We added a good big in Jordan Bruner as far as grad transfers went last year. Noah is a guy that we've played against twice, really had a hard time guarding ourselves, didn't really have an answer for him when we played him. So when his name popped up in the portal, the whole staff was fired up about trying to go after him. Because if you have a hard time guarding him, be a good addition. And plus, he plays the way we want to play. I mean, he can make threes. He can play multiple positions across the front court. He's got good size and athleticism. He's a high-character kid. I got to be friends with Coach Ritchie from Furman, said nothing but great things about him. So really excited. I think he gives us that versatile big that can play multiple positions, that's got a high IQ like we like, can play on the perimeter. It can post up as well, can shoot the three, can pass, dribble, and shoot. So he fits what we want as, a forward. I don't know that we play many centers per se, but, he's going to be a good addition for us. So those 3 are big additions to what we have going, and we're excited about it.
All right. Thank you, Coach. This time we'll go ahead and take questions. We'll begin first with Cecil Hurt. Yes, we got you, Cecil.
Okay. Coach, were you a little surprised that 3 players ended up available of the quality that got in the late period? And, are you going to look more at the roster before you make any kind of further decisions?
Yeah, so, we had been on Akko. We knew his decision was coming after the season. We knew that all the way back in the fall. He kind of told us it was going to be, either middle of the season or after, and it kind of got pushed to after. So, with the way the transfer portal's going, I think there's always going to be good players available late, to be honest with you, moving forward, just with the way everything's going with college basketball. And I think the Division I Council recommended it, and I think it's got to get approved, but it'd probably get approved that with the one-time transfer deal. So my guess is there's going to be pretty good players available in the spring moving forward. As far as the roster goes, we're one over. I feel like we handled this right last year. I think we've, earned the right to let it play out and handle this. We sat down and had some of these meetings are difficult meetings, but I think there's certain players that are better served to be in a different program for their own personal good. So I don't have an answer yet as to who won't be here next year, but it's a good problem to have. I mean, it's still an issue. We got to deal with it. It's not fun all the time, but, I think we placed players that were on last year's team, or our first year, I should say, or I shouldn't say place. They decide where they want to go, but we encouraged some of those guys to maybe find a better fit. And I think a lot of them did find a better fit. They went to places where they played more minutes, where their game fit that system better, and it may be one of those deals where either the player decides he wants to, or we kind of encourage it, or whatever, however it works. But we'll be down to the number that we need to be down to when it needs to be there.
Drew DeArmond, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to ask you, you've got a lot of talent now on this roster. And I know when you first got to Alabama, you talked about playing an 8, 9-man rotation at Buffalo. You had a deep team this year that could play as many as 10 guys. As with the way you've been able to recruit at Alabama and recruit at the highest level, and with J.D. Davidson coming in, and a lot of guys that can make an immediate impact that weren't here this past year, do you see, is your philosophy change as far as playing a lot more guys than maybe playing 10 or 11, even though I know it's hard to do, to get them the minutes that they want?
You know what? I think it's really hard to have more than about 9, 10 in the rotation. I mean, it's just the guys that are in the rotation aren't getting enough minutes. They're not getting enough chemistry working together. I will say this, though. Non-conference play, maybe you play everybody available, and you kind of figure it out before you get to SEC play. I spent 11 years in Michigan. I thought Izzo did that a lot. I thought he was good at it. Played a lot of guys early, and by the time you kind of let them figure it out, who's playing well, who's not. By the time you get into conference play, you've got your rotation a little bit more set, but you've got guys that got game experience. If you got an injury here or there, they can play. And it's the other thing, too, it's easy to predict right now. You're looking at, there's 14 guys on the roster, and everybody's predicting who's starting, who's going to back up who. It's a little bit early to predict any of that. We don't even have half the guys on campus yet. So I think guys get here, there's injuries that happen. Certain guys outplay other guys. Guys are better than you thought. Guys are not as good as you thought. All that happens. So it's a good problem to have, being this deep, at least on paper. It also usually works itself out pretty well. So I don't think I've ever played 11, 12, 13 guys in rotation. I don't think that's going to start. But maybe in some non-conference games we'll be playing a lot more guys, just seeing what guys are able to do.
Let's go next to Mike Rodak.
You had a couple guys last year, Petty and Herb, who went out and tested the waters in the draft, eventually came back. Do you expect anybody this year to do the same? Have you had any conversations?
Yeah, I would expect some guys too. I mean, guys that some of our better players that put up good numbers. We've had some conversations. They've got to put their name in, so I'm not going to go through and list everybody. But the guys that, you see guys, look at who put up some of our better numbers. To me, probably makes sense for some of those guys to test the waters, get some feedback. And I don't think it's the worst thing either. Like, I want guys that want to be in the NBA. So if you want to be in the NBA, let's get feedback from NBA people. I can call and get a lot of it my own without them testing the waters. But, when they put their name in and test, then now they're able to kind of get more of that on their own. So I like getting feedback from NBA guys on our guys. It only makes them better for us too. So, and here's what I'll say too: if a guy's got a guaranteed first round contract, he probably needs to go. Like, we're here to make our players better. We're here to make their future better. If you've got that type of guaranteed money, I'm not going to convince you to come back if it's not the best decision for you, your family, your future, your career. So, you know, they got to get feedback like that on that stuff. So I would expect there'd be a few that would test it, see what they've got. But, you know, at the end of the day, if they don't have a guaranteed first round contract, most of the time it makes sense. Come back, try to play your way up into it.
Charlie Potter.
Kind of along those same lines, Coach. Have you had any conversations with the seniors from last year's team to maybe take advantage of that NCAA waiver, or if you already have, just what were those conversations like?
Yeah, I talked to them about it during the year, after the year. They all know they've got the option. I think none of them are planning on using that option right now, to be honest with you. I think they've all had really good college careers. You know, Alex Reese is on pace to graduate. Herb Jones has already graduated. John Petty's on pace to graduate. Jordan Bruner graduated from Yale before he got here. He's on pace to finish his master's. The education part of it's done. They're now at the point where they can go make some money playing at different levels, possibly for different ones, you know. But, like, if you're talking about, like, Herb Jones, I mean, he's SEC Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. It happened 3 times in the history of SEC. It's probably time for him to capitalize on what he did this year. So I wouldn't try to talk a kid into coming back to serve us and me. No, if it's what's best for the student athlete to go make good money coming off a really good year, then they need to go make money. So I think with Herb, like, go make your money. You just were SEC Player of the Year. With John Petty, he came back last year to play his way up higher into the draft. You know, he's got to work his way. He's still got work to do here in the spring, but, you know, he had a really good career here. Really good. You know, we won. We did things here that some regards had never been done here before, and he was a big part of it. He's probably done what he can do here, and it makes sense for him to move on, you know. And Bruner and Reese, I think, can go play on some level somewhere. I think, you know, they've got their degrees, they've got their education fulfilled. I think if it made sense to come back, I think you'd do it. But I think with most of these guys, I think it makes sense that they try to go start playing professionally and make some money doing it. And if they all have the option to come back, I would love to have any of the 4 of them back, but I don't think it makes much sense on at least for some of them.
Tony Tsoukalos, go ahead.
Hey, Nate, you mentioned the one-time transfer policy. Just what's your feelings on that and kind of moving forward, how you seeing that playing out?
I mean, it's kind of gotten to that point. It would have been nice if it was there before, because it seemed like it was pretty arbitrary with who they were granting waivers to and who they weren't. So for whatever reason, we ended up on the bad side of that one with Quinterly, which made no sense at all to me and still makes no sense. So at least now everybody's eligible. So if you want to transfer, you're eligible. You get one time. After one time, then now you got to sit. To me, the question is, what are they going to do with the 2-time transfer? Is that going to be a waiver process? To me, it's just make everybody eligible on the one time, and then I don't, after once, you've had 2 tries now, you'd have to make it pretty clear cut on what that waiver policy would be to get eligible on a second one. But I mean, I'm fine with it. I think somebody sent me something today. I think there's only 3 Power 6 programs in the country that don't have anybody in the transfer portal. I think it was from what was sent to me, it was us, Michigan, and UCLA, if I'm correct, if that was accurate. So I'll say this, I think you do a really good job. You win, you treat players well, and you're able to, players want to be here. Now, something's got to give here with our scholarship numbers at some point, but I think we've done a pretty good job making this a program that the players feel You know, most players that come into Division I programs want to get better. If they feel like they're getting better and they're being treated well, you know, then you get a lot better chance to keep them around. I think our players are getting a lot better. Our skill development, our player development's at the top of our list of priorities. So I think we're making players better. We treat them really well. At the University of Alabama, the entire athletic department, players, student athletes get treated extremely well here. They're more than well taken care of with all kind, you know, between their nutrition, our training facilities, our staff, the facilities they got here to work out in, our strength and conditioning coach. There's a lot of really good stuff going on here. So we have not had the downside of the portal, really. We've gotten the positive side of it, being able to add some pieces each year. So hopefully we can continue to add pieces and not lose pieces that we'd like to retain, if that makes sense.
All right, we got just a few more questions left in the queue, so we'll just wrap it up with these questions that are already in here. Let's start with AP Stedham first.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on the class.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Oh, you will. Coach, I think it's the second time. 81 was Bob Levy, Herb, Enos Watley, and then 82 Buck Johnson, all together, those three.
Oh, so this is the second time there's been 3 McDonald's All-Americans?
I believe that's the case, Coach.
I'm gonna put that on my SID. He told me it was the first time. So either you're right or he's right, but you both can't be right. So I'm gonna let you and Aaron duke that one out after the press conference.
We'll discuss, AP.
We sure will. Hey, Coach, what would you like to see from J.D. Davidson moving forward at the guard position? And then any initial thoughts on the schedule, the upcoming schedule, some teams you'd like to bring in that never have played in Tuscaloosa, anything goes along those lines?
J.D. Davidson, I mean, he's one of the most athletic, dynamic guards in the country at any level. I think he's got ridiculous upside. I think with the way that we play, with the floor opened up, with the speed that we play with his athleticism, I think he's going to be really hard to guard. I think with the shooting that we're going to put around him, it's going to keep the floor spread. I think he needed to go to a spot that, you know, or I shouldn't say needed. He would have been good anywhere he went, but it helped him to go to a place that values shooting like we do, to keep the floor spread, to keep the lane open for him. But he's going to, I mean, you put him and Quinterly out there, it's going to be hard to keep the two of those guys in front of you. And then, you know, shoot, you also saw we've got Shackelford can drive the ball. You know, we've got other guards that I think Primo's really starting to come on with. You know, we've got some really good guards that are going to play well together that can all pass, dribble, and shoot. So, but yeah, I'm excited to coach JD. I mean, his highlight reel, I mean, it's pretty ridiculous, to be honest with you. So we'll get some plays drawn up for him, that's for sure. But as far as the scheduling goes, me and Adam have to sit down and go through it. You know, some of the games that were postponed from like Houston's coming back into town. Like I think you guys have gotten to know me well enough. We're going to schedule really good teams, but Houston's pretty good. I'm not trying to schedule like too many top 10 teams come in here. So Houston will be in here. We're still trying to work on, you know, the Birmingham deal, what's going to happen there. We typically play up there, some other ones. We've got some work to do on the schedule. It's nowhere close to being done, but Adam's been working hard on it. I was a little more tied up with some of this recruiting. Now that that's over and got some of that, we can turn our attention a little bit more to scheduling. So maybe have an update on that and better update in a month or so. But look, I'm not trying to play like 4 or 5 top 10 teams in here, if that's what you're asking. Houston's good. Maybe we get another one in. I don't know, but it's not really the way it works when you play in the SEC. You got enough top 10 teams in conference. You're not scheduling a bunch of them out of conference. We've got the Big 12 Challenge. We're going to Orlando in the Advocare that's got a solid field. I mean, there's only so many really high-level games you want non-conference there's an art to doing the scheduling thing, and I think we've done pretty good with it, to be honest with you. You look at our strength of schedule, it's really high every year, so it'll be high again.
Follow up from Mike Rodike.
Yeah, Nate, I think it would be remiss if we didn't ask about Fluff, and just the impact that he made on you and the program, and just how, the program might remember him going forward.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I was at the funeral Sunday. It was a tough deal. I mean, standing up there in front of a family that lost their son at way too early of an age. I mean, that was hard. I got to see. I had met the dad at the South Carolina game and met the mom. But to see them in those circumstances was not easy. So, we're gonna find a way to honor Fluff here. Hopefully, keep his legacy around the program for as long as I'm here. Hopefully, a lot longer than that. I mean, he's what embodies college basketball and college sports. I was on the phone with a lot of NBA execs, scouts today, going through different things that they had questions. I had a few questions for them. One of them made a statement. I love it. Like, he's talking about like the G League and stuff. Like, nobody ever graduated from the South Bay Lakers. There's students here, got a lot of alums. They remembered cheering for their team when they graduate. Like, he's what embodies college athletics. You've got a student section that's passionate about their team, about their sport, about the individual players on the team, about the coaching staff. Like, I just felt like he was one of us. I mean, he had been over to my house in the fall. He'd hung out with Brian at his house. Brian had taken him to dinner at Chuck's on Wednesday, the night before he was admitted to the house, 2 days before he passed away. I mean, we felt like he was one of us. So to lose one of us is not easy, and we're going to do everything that we can to honor his legacy here. And I just, my heart goes out to the family, but we're going to keep him in his spirit and what he's about kindled around here. And I'm glad the last game or the last season that he was able to participate in ended up to be as good of a season as it was, because it's fitting that, arguably the best fan that's, I've only been here 2 years, so I don't know. Maybe there were some other great fans, but that he was unbelievable. So tough to lose him, but we're going to honor his legacy moving forward.
All right, we got a question from Drew DeArmond, and then we'll end with Jerry Tipton. So let's start with Drew.
Coach, great testimony on Fluff. You mean a lot to a lot of people. I did want to ask about one current player we did get to see this year in his recovery. How is Alex Chiku recovering from his torn Achilles, and what role do you see him potentially competing for and making an impact for you coming up this coming season?
So he's not able to go live or anything yet. He is able to shoot. He's able to do some stuff off 2 feet. He still can't jump off that right Achilles, the one that he tore. He's still a little ways out from being able to do any of that. But he's in the gym. He's put on weight. I mean, he's 6'11". I think 243 was the last one, pushing 245. So he's put on a decent amount of weight. He shoots it. We've talked to him about what his role is. He's playing more like a 5 that plays on the perimeter. Our 5s don't play like traditional 5s. So, but he's bigger, stronger. He's going to need to rebound, shoot it well for us. But he's coming along. I mean, he works. He wants to be in the gym and work. It's just hard. It's hard to predict where he's going to be right now, because you're not seeing him healthy and live yet. You're seeing him still. He's still not recovered. So he's on pace. He's where the trainer wants him to be. Clark says he's doing well as far as where he's supposed to be on a timeline, but he's not doing anything live. And we started workouts last week. We've got workouts this week, and then we've got to stop. You got to stop a week before finals. So we really only have the rest of this week, and then they've got the next 2 weeks off. Finals are done. They go home for 3 weeks and come back. So after this week, they got 5 weeks off with us. So hopefully after those 5 weeks, he's in a lot better spot where we can see him go a little bit more live and got a better answer for you on that.
All right, Jerry, you're up.
Yeah, Nate, I just wanted to also ask you about the transfer portal. How prominent is that in the overall recruiting process? And where do you see that going? Could it supplant recruiting high school players someday?
Shoot, I think in some programs it probably has, to be honest with you, Jerry. I mean, I think, I think what I'd like to do and where I think, some other programs is kind of use it to piece in where you've got some holes. You look at the two teams in the national championship game. Andrew Nimhart started for Gonzaga, transfer. Look at Baylor; they had some pretty good transfers. One of them came from here. It's a little bit different deal with, with his situation. But I think you can use it to piece in where you need immediate help. But I certainly don't want to quit recruiting high school guys. I mean, there's really good players coming to high school every year that I'd like to get in our program, as we've done. We've got Buddy Akko and Jason Holt, who I think is going to be great. I think he's really fits what we want. J.D. Davidson. So players like that, I mean, we want to still get them in. I think you got to have some. But there's also, where you want to stay old. And if you lose a guy early, with guys going early at the draft and stuff, sometimes it makes sense to replace some guys with some veteran guys that have some college experience. So I don't want it to supplant high school recruiting, but I certainly think it can enhance and add to and, fill in what you don't have on your roster for sure.
All right, thank you, Coach.
So we're